What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the struggles that the Winnipeg Jets have been having really since the first game of the year. Obviously started the year off with a lot of guys out of the lineup, but as the Jets start to get more guys in the lineup, it seems like more issues are arising for them. I wouldn't say the Jets have looked, particularly stellar at all to start the year. I think there's very few games where I think they've played, very well all the way through, played a full 60 minutes, and a lot of games they've limped their ways to victory. And, we kind of expected that early on in the season as, a lot of players were out of the lineup, a lot of key players out of the lineup, including Adam Lowry, Dylan Samberg, Cole Perfetti. But now as we start to see some of these guys come back, it almost seems like the Jets are getting a little bit looser in how they're playing the game, and more issues are really coming forward for this team, and a lot of issues that I thought would be issues to start the season. One massive issue the Jets have had this year has been their 5-on-5 play, have not been able to score goals whatsoever. In the first 10 games of the year, it was really just their power play that was running at a very high percentage, and, it's great to have that power play running full speed. We saw what it did for them last season, but it really covered up a lot of issues they had 5-on-5, and I was hopeful that over time it would kind of correct itself, but so far it's trending in the wrong direction. I know we're not very far into this season yet, but it is a cause for concern given the way that this team is built. And what do I mean by the way this team is built? I mean that this team is slow. This team is older. This is not a very fast hockey team, and that has been, wealthfully exposed against some of these California teams here, getting absolutely embarrassed by the San Jose Sharks and the Anaheim Ducks. Yes, the Ducks are a fairly good team, but it looked like, an NHL team versus a team of like 9-year-olds. Like it was not even close. The amount of breakdowns in the Jets' defensive zone, the amount of odd man rushes that the Ducks had, they had their way with the Jets. They were skating circles around the Winnipeg Jets all game long. A lot of players that I could, pick on and everything, and I'm sure that I'll bring up names later on in this video, but it was everybody as a whole. No one looked good. That top line had so many defensive miscues, not buying into the defensive zone in their own end, not being able to string two shifts together. I don't think there was two shifts by any line in that entire game that were able to be strung together as, good, solid shifts to build momentum. There was really nothing going on for the Jets at all that game. And, when your goaltender isn't stopping 40 plus a night, when you're not scoring 3 goals on the power play, and, your 5-on-5 still isn't running, and you're not buying in defensively, this is what's happening. The Jets have lost 3 in a row on their California road trip. They have 3 games remaining on this road trip. We'll see how they fare, but, they got absolutely destroyed in California. LA, San Jose, and the Anaheim Ducks railed the Winnipeg Jets over this past week, and it was flat out embarrassing, and it exposed a lot wrong with how this team is built. But the good news for the Winnipeg Jets is that it's very early in the season and there is time to correct this stuff. Obviously, Adam Lowry and Cole Perfetti coming back, they're going to take a little bit of time to get back up to speed, get their timing back, and that's to be expected. I'm not expecting them to be, themselves day one here or anything. Over time, I'm sure they'll get better, and those numbers 5-on-5 will improve. Getting Dylan Samberg back, hopefully sometime on this Jets road trip, will definitely help defensively as well, as the Jets are, pretty much lacing up 3, number 7 defensemen. Yes, Stanley's had his moments this year, but his miscues have definitely overshadowed the good. Luke Schenn, absolutely unplayable. He's cooked. I'm not talking about your mother's cooking. I'm talking about, like, your dad's cooking. Like, put the frozen pizza upside down in the oven type cooked. He's done. If he retired today, I would be through the roof, but unfortunately Luke Schenn is on this roster in front of Colin Miller for whatever reason. Hayden Fleury has not been good, and once we get Dylan Samberg back here in this Jets lineup, I think things calm down a little bit. Hopefully that raises Pionk's game, as he has been a big time disaster in his own end too. But once all these players kind of get up to speed again. I'm sure the 5-on-5 numbers will improve, but I'm not sure if they move the needle enough. Last year, the Jets had the luxury of having a Nikolai Ehlers on their second line. They always had, kind of at least two lines going offensively. Sometimes the Lowry line would, find some offense too. So, the Jets were able to roll some lines and be able to get a lot of scoring 5v5. Their power play was going too. So it was a really good situation for them. This year, they don't have that luxury. Yes, Jonathan Toews is on this team, and I know there's a lot of people that, are going to be sore about the Ehlers thing and say, hey, well, Toews is going to be good in the playoffs. And, while Toews very well could be good in the playoffs, I don't know if he, at this point in his career, is going to be able to elevate the Jets to where they need to go in the playoffs. Because what we're seeing right now, is a lot of fast teams are destroying the Jets. You take a look at just what they've gone through this season, getting beat by the Dallas Stars, pretty handedly. I know they made that comeback near the end, almost won that game in the season opener, but alas, Dallas outplayed them for the majority. Take a look at some of the other fast teams that really gave the Jets a hard time this year. The Utah Mammoth. Jets got completely outplayed by the Mammoth. Just recently, the Sharks and the Ducks. The Jets struggle with pace. They struggle with, just buying in defensively in their own end. It's something we didn't see a lot of last year. I know, again, some of their best defensive players, Lowry, Perfetti, and Sandberg, not up to speed yet. I think that will improve. But I just don't see how the scoring fixes itself unless the Jets go and make some crazy move in the top six and bring in a difference maker. But that's going to cost a ton of stuff, and I don't know if the Jets are going to go that route this year. I don't know how they fit it in with the cap. Obviously, with there being a salary cap in the playoffs now, that complicates things further. It's just a really tough situation that the Jets are in right now, because they need to find something that I'm not so sure is even out there on the market. I just worry about this team a little bit. I think, they're going to be able to figure this out here. I think they'll be able to right the ship. I'm not freaking out too much over, 3 games in a row, but I am freaking out a tad with how they've played this season because, to be totally honest with you, their record shouldn't be as good as it is. Probably should have lost a few more of those games early on in the year, and that's even against some, lesser competition. That's against some teams that are not going to be making the playoffs this year. So going forward here, the Jets really have to tighten up, and especially defensively, they got to find a way to score 5-on-5. I really do think that, with this adversity, maybe we will see some changes, to the forward matchups, and, maybe the top line gets split up. We'll have to see. I know they're very dangerous offensively, but defensively, they've been a massive liability. And, going forward here, we'll have to see what Scott O'Neill does because, just things have not been clicking this year. Things have not been consistent for the Jets. And I think that's the biggest thing they got to find right now is consistency. But that's really all I got to talk about today, guys. What do you guys think about the Jets' play so far this season? Very early on in the year, but cause for concern already. What do you think the Jets are going to be this year? Do you think they'll be able to get back to that President's Trophy level to where they're winning a ton all the time with the rare loss? Or do you guys think, this kind of is what it is? Let me know down below in the comments, and leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'm out of here, guys. Thanks so much for watching. As always, see you guys in the next one. Go Jets, go. Bye-bye.